911. What
Whoa, everybody, you know what time it is. You know what time it is. You know what time it is. It's real file time. That's right, babies. Here we go. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of excitement. It's going to be a lot of craziness. We're going to get spooky. We're going to get scary. But first off, let me introduce my co-host for this wonderful, beautiful program you're about to witness and experience. First off, it's the sinister, the prime minister, the master of disaster, Mr. Ruthless Chris.
What's going on, everybody?
Hell yeah. Next up, we got that babe with the power, the tower of the hour, the main one. I don't know what I'm saying. Leave me alone.
Tower of the hour.
I'm calling you from Tower of the Hour from here on out.
Tower of the hour. Hey, girls.
Hey, Kelly, Tower of the Hour is here.
It is Kelli the Killer Miller.
Woo!
AKA
Hey, girls,
Tower
hey.
of the Hour.
Tower of the hour.
I've been awake since 3:30 a.m. and I've been pushing myself just to stay awake for this. So anyway, it's the G to the E to the R to the M. The T stands for the, but you already knew that because you're a smart motherfucker. And it's Mr. Ripper if you're nasty. I'm ripping it up in a modern way. It's Germ T Ripper.
Rip it up.
Now, tonight's feature that we'll be talking about is 2022's Feed Me. It's a crazy, wacky cannibal story. But before we get to that, let's get into a little something about, hey, what have you been up to this week? Starting off with you, Mr. Big Dog Ruthless Chris.
I've been kind of trying to take it easy this week. Last week was hectic with the show and all that. Kelly and I went and got some pizza the other day, watched the Blob.
Yeah, yesterday.
Yesterday.
Yeah, I'll be talking about that tonight.
Aside from that, I really have not been doing. I've been a homebody. I've been sitting at home watching movies, hanging out with the dog mostly, being a big homebody. Yeah, not been doing shit.
All right, baby. You know I like the sound of that. You know you're a homebody. I'm a homo body. You know how it goes sometimes. All right. I can get with that. How about you, Miss Killer Kelly? What you been up to, baby?
My week hasn't been much different than Chris's, other than I unfortunately missed the Ruthless show due to seems to be never-ending car issues. But I mean, other than that, I'm still doing good with the not smoking. So yeah. This weekend, me and Chris might pop up to the Michigan Oddities and Horror Festival up in Monroe. Maybe pass out some flyers. So if you're around there, say hi if you see us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this will already be out by the time we do that.
Oh. Well, if you've seen us, I hope you said hi.
hey.
Ooh la la, say la vie. I like
for
the
those
sound
two
of
that walked by us, you guys were rude as shit.
You know what I'm talking about. You know, Horror and Oddities Festival. That sounds like a good time, babies. But me, myself, and I I'm on that same wavelength as you two. I'm just staying busy, doing my thing here and there. Oh, but on the last show, I don't think I even mentioned my latest story, my latest short story. It's called Moon Age Daydream, and it just got published by St. Rooster Publishing.
Oh, awesome.
And, yeah, it's part of their literary magazine, Stranger with Friction. And this newest story is about an interdimensional glam rock dream demon. Yeah, if you didn't know me and didn't know that I was completely sober, you'd be like, man, that guy was on some Stephen King drugs. But I wasn't.
Stephen King was.
Stephen King was on a lot of drugs when he wrote some of his stories.
Yeah.
But I wasn't. So when you read
him about Maximum Overdrive, he said he doesn't even remember filming that movie because he was on so much cocaine.
Jesus.
That is a wild man. That is a wild man. But anyway, that's what's big and exciting in my life. You know, $10 is cheap for now. It's $10 cheap for that magazine. Because
We'll be sure to put a link up for that on the socials.
Oh yeah, definitely want to check that out.
I dig it, baby. I dig it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what have we been watching lately? Before we get to our main feature, before we get to Feed Me, what have we been watching? Let's start off with you, Miss Killer Kelli Miller.
All right. I checked out that sleep experiment. That I don't know. It's been popping up. It's a new movie.
It's
Came
called
out
The Sleep Experiment.
It's called The Sleep Experiment. It came out
Okay.
2022. I rented this. Had I known, I probably wouldn't have rented it and waited for it to be streaming for free. But I mean, it's not terrible. It's based on like that creepy pasta, like the Russian sleep experiments.
Yeah.
Chris, you listened to Time Suck. I think they did a Time Suck about them a while
they
back.
did.
I could be wrong, but yeah. This one is basically there's two detectives investigating a prison experiment gone wrong. They're questioning the doctor about what happened that when he had 5 prisoners that he pulled out of prison to, be involved in this experiment, and he locked them in like a sealed gas chamber. Well, in the gas chamber, they were pumping in a gas that would keep them awake and the goal was they had to stay awake for 30 days and they were freed from prison or and all their crimes were kind of like erased and stuff, expunged or whatever. But so yeah, if they stayed awake, they got freedom. It kind of turned into like a character study on like each prisoner in there, because they didn't right away tell you what each person was in for or anything like that. And then I don't know, it was all right. They kind of inevitably go insane after trying to stay up for 30 days. It was kind of gory. I thought they did a good job of keeping the movie like really claustrophobic, because it does all take place in basically one room other than when they're interviewing the doctor. There is a weird twist at the end that you didn't really see coming. I didn't think it was awesome, but I'd give it like a 2.5. I found it kind of boring at parts and like slightly predictable, but I mean, there was some decent gore. And like I said, like as far as the camera work, it did a good job at a claustrophobic kind of feel and gave you a sense of like paranoia amongst the prisoners. It was decent, but I mean, I wouldn't have paid for it. I'd wait till this one's free.
All right, baby. Well, I appreciate you watching it, so we don't have to watch it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think I'll skip that one.
Yeah.
If you say it's boring,
those...
I don't. I mean, I would. If it's low budget, I don't mind. If it's sleazy, I don't mind. But if it's boring, I can't do boring, baby.
It's not like super boring. It's just, if you know anything about the Russian sleep experiments, like that's an awesome story, and I just feel like they didn't really do it much justice. Like that's one of those stories that's almost set up for an awesome movie, and this one just didn't nail it for me.
Well, then hopefully somebody else will take that source material and churn it into something that is a little less boring. You think maybe that'll happen, Miss Kelli?
Yeah, hopefully, maybe. Like the Slender Man legend, like all the movies, that was a cool creepy pasta. And it's a cool story. And like they almost have the cool story set up for a cool movie, but all of the movies that have been based on it that I've seen so far just are really fucking suck,
Well, all right then, baby. You said 2.5.
Yeah, 2.5. I think
if somebody did want to reach out and rent this, what would they rent it on, baby?
I just got it on Prime.
All right, Amazon Prime. Rent it on Amazon Prime if you're feeling that jive. How about you, Mr. Ruthless Chris? What'd you watch?
So I the other day, man, I wouldn't suggest this one before bed. I watched a real gnarly one. I'm sure you've seen this, Germ. I watched Angst, which is a German serial killer film from, I believe, 82, 81, around there. It's a real early movie. 1983. Pod's popping in with. It's a Russian film. Basically, what you got is it's mostly narrated. There's not a whole lot of dialogue, and it's pretty much a serial killer being released from prison, going to eat some bratwurst and biscuits and mustard, and then he goes and kills a bunch of people. And it's pretty much his day, like him planning why he's doing it. It's very visceral. It's very violent. Really pulls no punches. Uh, I wouldn't really recommend this for everyone. I recommend it more like the hardcore people that like a real disturbing kind of flick. Like it's not like Man Bites Dog where like there's like a fun element to it. This is just downright gnarly. Um, it's a pretty mean film. I watched it on Tubi. I'd probably give this about 4. It was really good, but it was a rough ride. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, baby. You know, I love that movie. I love any movie where it makes you feel dirty afterwards, like you gotta take a shower. And Angst is definitely one of those movies, baby. You know what I'm saying? I would give it a 4.5. Yeah, well, I originally watched on Tubi. I had to buy the Blu-ray. I don't know if I'll watch it again, but I've watched it like twice in the past couple of years just because sometimes you want something bleak, and that is
Yeah.
about as bleak as
What
it
was this one
gets.
called?
Angst. It's a
Angst.
German
Okay.
film. It's all subtitled.
I've seen it pop up, like I've passed it by, while scrolling. Never watched it.
It's
You
pretty
want that
disturbing
dark
shit.
shit, baby. If you want that dark, weird, disturbing stuff, baby, that's what you want to check out.
It's very unhinged. It's definitely like, and it's kind of surreal even in like the behavior and everything. It's just a really unhinged, weird movie.
Well, all right. All right, all right, all right, all right. You know what I'm saying? Ooh la la, c'est la vie. I watched a real doozy of a stinker right before I got on this microphone. You know what I'm saying? I watched this one on Tubi. Streaming on Tubi. It was 71 minutes, and that's the only reason I turned it
Oh
on.
boy.
Yeah, it's called The Hoot Owl.
The what?
And
The
The
Hoot Owl.
Hoot Owl.
The Hoot
Okay.
Owl.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a group of people. They go out to a cabin in the woods that they just bought off the internet. And the guy who bought it actually knows that it's a murder house. Like people that were living there got murdered there, but it was a steal, so he had to get it anyway. And him and his friends go to fix up the cabin. For the first 52 minutes of the film, of the 71-minute runtime, there is not much going on in this film. It's got a cool score, and you get introduced to the characters. But out of 71 minutes, 52 minutes have no action, no gore, no real story to them. Just do. We're dumb
Dicking around in the
characters.
woods.
Yeah. So at the 52-minute mark, though, finally we're introduced to the Hoot Owl, who's a serial killer, and he's got like this cannibalistic inbred family of serial killers. And I'm bad at math. I think that's like for the next 19 minutes, we are treated to some serious no budget gore. If you want to fast forward past the first 52 minutes of the movie, that 19-minute segment isn't bad if you like no budget gore and like disturbing imagery, because there's one of the characters that is in this cannibalistic backwoods family. She's pregnant.
Oh
And
boy.
yeah, there's a close up of this character's hairy vagina giving birth to a baby. It's like that, like right when it was happening, I'm like, that's not necessary. You don't have to do that. That was like some sleazebox action, specifically made. And there's a part where one of the good characters that just happens to be at the cabin in the woods is helping this cannibal that had just murdered her husband and helping her give birth, and then bites the umbilical cord off and is holding the baby. I'm like, no, you don't need to do that. Yeah. I'm just gonna say, I watched it so you don't have to watch it, unless you want to fast forward past the first 52 minutes and you just want to see some senseless gore. It's Terrifier style, sort of like over the top bloodiness for 19 minutes. Yeah,
Sometimes you just need that in your
absolutely,
life.
but as long as you can skip the first 52 minutes.
It's getting to it. That's the problem. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
They just added a bunch of bullshit to make it a feature length film, but they probably only had like 30 minutes of story.
Right. But it came out last year in 2022. I'm going to give it 2 stars just to be generous, just because it had no budget. And I'm a nice guy, so I'll give it 2 stars. Yeah, if you have any interest in this, skip most of the film right to the 52-minute mark, and you get to see some gnarly, no budget gore. But that's my first movie for the night, babies. I'm gonna pass this ball back over to Miss Killer Kelli Miller.
All right. The next movie I'm going to talk about is another one that has been just popping up in my suggested movies to me. This one's All Eyes. It is on Prime and Tubi, and this one is thoroughly entertaining. Like I actually really love this movie. It was written and directed by Todd and Alex Greenlee. The only other movie that I've seen that they've done was it's also another new one is Home with a View of a Monster. I also watched that, but I'll talk about that next week. But anyway, this it was all right, not as good as this one. But anyway, it's about this podcast. This guy has a podcast and he interviews a bunch of crazy pictures. People. He interviews crazy pictures. I don't know where my head went there. But he interviews a bunch of crazy people. Like he's got like a box of freaks that he goes through. And one of these podcasts go really wrong. Like one of the people that he interviewed was dangerous and did some shit on the air, which got him fired. So he's fucking out of a job and he's contacted by this like old guy. He's a widower. If it's a guy, it's a widower, right?
Widower. Yeah.
Widower. Yeah. He's a widower. His wife just died. He doesn't listen to the podcast, but she was a big fan. And he's convinced that he can bring his show back because he's got this monster in his woods. So the guy goes to this creepy old farm with this guy, Don. Don's his name. Don is the most amusing fucking character. I love this old man. Like, you don't know if he's out of his mind, if he's dangerous, or if there really is a monster. So, like, most of the movie, you're kind of questioning that. His whole property's booby-trapped, like, insanely booby-trapped, waiting for this monster. This one's a good one, man. I highly recommend it. It was funny in parts. Like there's so many different turns. You don't know where the fuck it's going. I like it. I'd give this one about a 3.5 or 4.
Yeah, I've almost watched this a couple of times. It's got a good cover.
It's a fun movie, man. There's some decent gore. Like it has a way. How do I say this without giving a lot away? It has a way of like making the weapons that are supposed to fight the monster kind of like the villain. You'll see what I'm talking about. It's check it out though. It's a good movie.
Okay,
all right, baby.
3.5, 4. It's on Prime and Tubi.
Okay, I need to check that one out. I remember seeing the trailer for it, and it looked like something spectacular. So I'm glad you brought it up. I'm glad it's put back on my radar, and I can dial that up. Anybody could dial that up. Amazon Prime and Tubi. You said Tubi's free, babies. Just go for it. You know, you ain't gonna lose nothing. It's free. Come on now.
Yeah, the character Don, though, man, he's so fucking likable. Like, that old guy, like, he's kind of a dick. He's a huge dick, but, like, it's funny in a way. I don't know. Definitely.
And I mean, who doesn't like a huge dick in their life once in a while? Ouch! All right, then. Let's keep this ball rolling. What you been watching, Mr. Ruthless Chris? What's the next one on your agenda?
I watched a movie from 2016 by Mickey Keaton called Carnage Park. This director's been kind of hit or miss with me. I've liked some of his stuff. Like he had one called Pod I enjoyed, like an alien flick. He made Darling, which I really liked.
Darling was great.
Psychopaths, which everyone seems to hate, but I really enjoy.
I love Psychopaths.
Yeah, I love that movie. Like apparently you and I are the only ones that enjoyed that. I liked Psychopaths a lot. This one didn't necessarily land with me. He tried really hard to rip off Quentin Tarantino with this thing. Downright to where they even have the scene from Reservoir Dogs where the guy's like shot in the belly. Like they're driving away from a robbery. The guy's shot in the belly. The other guy's driving like, you're going to be okay, man. They're straight up just doing scenes from Reservoir Dogs. But what you have is a heist goes bad. It's two robbers. One of them dies. He's shot in the belly. The other one takes a hostage and he's running from the cops. and he like takes a U-turn into this like desert, like this desolate desert, like private property. And there's a sniper on this property, and he's got it all set up with like booby traps and all kinds of shit. He just like hunts people on his property. It was, I mean, it was shot well. The guy who played the sniper was entertained. He was a good actor, but it just kind of bugged me because it was like just trying so hard just to be this like super slick, stylish, like Quentin Tarantino movie, and they should have leaned more into like the disturbing themes they had going on with it. And it just dragged. I don't know. I didn't really enjoy it. I gave it like 2.5.
That's legit. Now, what did you say the name of this movie was again?
Carnage Park.
Carnage Park. That sounds real familiar to me. I don't know if I watched it or not because there was times when I drank a lot. So how old is it? What year did it come out?
2016.
Okay, so I was still drinking. I might have watched it and forgot about it. That's not a good sign. If you forget you watched a movie, that means it's no good.
I have a lot of those from back when heavy drinking days myself.
It happens, baby. It happens. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. What did you say this was streaming on? Is it streaming on something, baby?
Let me take a peek. Somebody gave me a DVD for my birthday as a birthday gift, so I watched the DVD I had laying around. It doesn't look like it's streaming anywhere.
All right.
It's like something you'd have to rent off Amazon.
You still gotta love a birthday present, even if it's a movie you don't like too much. It's still a gift, and I love gifts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I appreciate the thought. The movie was just that.
Yeah. It was a movie.
It's not something I'll watch again. Yeah, that's one thing I could definitely say about it. It was a movie.
It was a movie, baby.
I watched it. It was a movie, all right.
All right. Well, I'm going to keep this ball rolling. I'm going to keep this terror train on its tracks, and I'm going to talk about the next movie I watched. Yet again, it was a movie I specifically watched only because it was short and I could fit it in before I went to therapy the other day. It was a movie called Paranormal Prison. Now, you could just guess by the name of the movie, it ain't going to be winning no awards.
That's a bad name.
It's
I saw you post about this, and I was like, this must be like made by a buddy of his or something, because I know you don't like found footage movies. And this,
I just went for it, baby. I was like, it's an hour and 15 minutes. Ooh la la! Let me just get this movie in here before I gotta get out of here. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's made in 2021. It's a found footage film. Some creepy paranormal investigators. They go to a haunted prison, and they are investigating this ghost story and blah, blah, blah. There's a guy who doesn't believe in ghosts. There's the rest of the team that kind of do believe in ghosts. And, it's kind of it's a very basic setup. It's a very traditional setup. What I did like about this was that each one of these characters in the ghost hunting team kind of gave a little bit of backstory, why they were hunting ghosts, why they were in this paranormal team, which, you don't really get a whole lot of in these no budget sort of found footage films. Mm-hmm. You don't get, I'm doing this because my mom died and it was sad, or, I'm just throwing that out there. You know what I'm saying? So I like that part about it. The acting wasn't horrible, which I will definitely give to that, because I expected this to be just hot garbage, and I kind of liked. I also kind of liked how that they did a lot with very little. You know what I'm saying? When you get no budget and you're just, it's like bubblegum. It's bubblegum and a couple paper clips and some shoestring, and you're going for it. And they went for it. But it wasn't horrible, but I can't say it's good either. Just like you gave your last film a 2.5, I'm going to give this a 2.5 as well. I might even go as far as say I watched it, so you don't have to. But that's that, But anyway, I'm gonna keep this ball rolling. I don't even want to talk about this movie anymore. Miss Kelly, the Killer Miller. What's the next movie you got to talk about, baby?
Oh, the next movie I'm going to talk about is I love this. I can't believe I have not seen it since I've been a child. Chris and I watched it together yesterday. This is 1988's The Blob. God, growing up, where a lot of kids are afraid of, clown movies and the dark and stuff like that, this movie and The Raft from Creepshow 2, between those two movies, I was completely terrified of fucking blobs.
Blobs, masses, goos.
Ooze. I remember being scared of like standing on those rafts because of the raft. It might come up between your toes on that, or in the drain because of this movie, because this one seems to move everywhere. This starts out, with your typical 80s. You got the cheerleaders dating the football players. You got Kevin Dillon. He's the the badass motorcycle kid fixing his bike in the woods for some
He spends
reason.
most of his time in the woods when he's not fighting
Just
blobs.
wrenching
He's
on
just
his
in the
bike.
woods with his motorcycle.
Well,
Very
it looks
straight.
like an asteroid comes in, and that's really all you know. Old man kind of goes poking around at it, and it attaches to his hand. Well, I believe Kevin Dillon and the cheerleader and the boyfriend, the cheerleader and the boyfriend get him to the hospital. It doesn't matter who does. But once at the
Kevin Dillon
hospital,
was there as well.
yeah, Kevin Dillon was also there.
My lord.
Once at the hospital, like this thing starts taking over, and the blob basically takes over the entire city. It seems like the more people it digests, the bigger it grows, and this shit gets fucking to amazing proportions. The special effects in this movie are fucking on point, dude. Like, it's almost to the level of like The Fly, I'd say.
I haven't watched this in like 20 years.
Dude,
I was
right?
shocked by how good this fucking movie was.
It
And,
seriously
like the
is.
special effects, the gore, like the splat, like there's all those guys running around like the hazmat suits are just like body count fodder. They're always like melting in the background, like half
Such a
chopped in
high
half,
body
and their
count.
arms are hanging off and shit. It was I had a blast with the Blob.
I did too. Such a high body count, such good like special effects, especially for 1988. Like the one scene where the girl sees her boyfriend and it's just like he's like looking through it and it's just like melting his face down. Like they don't skimp at all on the gore. It's fantastic. This was directed by Chuck Russell, which I thought was amusing that he also directed The Mask, like the Jim Carrey's The Mask. Yeah. And Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warrior. But yeah, fucking highly recommend this one. It's on Tubi, but I did see they're taking it off soon, so watch it soon. Fucking, I give this 4.5, 5. Even this, I can't believe I've waited so long to like watch it again. I've been looking for it. I've been talking about it a lot, and I'm glad Chris and I like decided to sit down. Like, let's watch the fucking Blob yesterday.
Yeah, I forgot how goddamn good this movie was. It really is a good companion piece for like The Thing, like especially with all like the body horror and all that shit. The special effects on the Blob are cool. There's a phone booth scene where you could like it's like surrounding a woman in the phone booth and you can see like bodies floating by in the goo. Yeah. It was really fucking cool. I like the Blob a lot. Definitely 4.5 around this one.
This might
goddamn Blob. There needs to be more Blob movies. Let's make more movies about Blob, slimes, or oozes.
Hell yes. This might be one of my more favorite remakes ever because there was like the 1950s Steve McQueen version, which was great and all, but it needed these effects,
It needed Kevin Dillon, a motorcycle, and some pine trees is what it needed.
I will tell you personally, I am a huge fan of the 1988 The Blob. I was about 10 years old when it came out, and I remember seeing that trailer for The Blob, and I was terrified of it because right in the trailer you see that close up, and you know which close up I'm talking about, where the faces are just like melting. And I was like, I can never watch that movie. And now when I'm, older and I got the Scream Factory Blu-ray, I can watch all the extras and hear how they do the special effects. I still love the rock and roller riding the motorbike.
Yeah.
And, he's saving the day against the government and, he's doing all these fun things and he's got the girl and the Blob, like you both said, the special effects are amazing. It's campy, it's fun. It's such a fun movie. Yeah, I give it a 4, definitely a 4.
I
I could watch the Blob over and over, and I
oh
actually
yeah.
prefer this one over the original.
Hmm.
Uh, Definitely because it's fun, and the other one, I know I've watched the original The Blob and I've watched it in the theater, but I don't remember anything about it. This one, I could tell you exactly what it's about and how it goes down because it's so enjoyable. You know, whether somebody like an academic thinks it's a great movie or not, I don't care. If it's fun and I can remember it, that means it's a great movie to me. So yeah, I give it a 4 as well, baby.
And this
Four
is
and a half.
also one of those movies like 1988's a good time for it because if this were made nowadays with CGI, I don't think it would have the same sort of campy, like awesome special effects that it had back then. It was
You
just perfect timing for that movie.
you would absolutely need somebody who's dedicated to maintaining that fun aspect and maintaining practical effects in the movie if they were going to do this yet again. I think
Mhm.
James Gunn. I think James Gunn could kill it.
I could see
That
that.
there isn't too many directors out there that I think could do a really fun reinterpretation of the Blob. But if they were going to, I'd say James Gunn could really pull it off really well. But in the meantime, let's keep this terror train moving. And Mr. Ruthless Chris, what do you gotta say? What you been watching? What's next on your agenda, baby?
I'm not sure I would completely call this next one a horror movie, although it did have monsters in it. This was a strange one, but I really enjoyed it. It's called Eden Log from 2007. It's a French film by Frank Vastille. It's the only movie he's ever made. Um, this has some serious Cronenberg Lynch feels to it. It's one of those things where the movie itself is a puzzle you're kind of trying to put together. Um, like it just kind of starts you in a mystery and it starts like kind of feeding you puzzle pieces. You got a guy who wakes up and he's in like a sub basement of a facility where something obviously has gone wrong. Like there's bodies all around and like shit's destroyed. Like you could tell something bad has happened or is in the process of happening, and he can't remember what's going on. And it's basically him just making his way up from the sub level to sub level, trying to make his way up to the surface, trying to figure out what's going on around him. There's monsters that are seeming to be at war with like these hazmat guys in the background. He's trying to avoid that because he's not sure if these people are after him or if like the monsters are going to kill him. He runs into this weird rogue botanist who's like always hanging from the ceiling in weird ways. This is a really strange movie. The way it's filmed too is like they wash almost all the color out of it. Like it almost looks like it's black and white, but it's not. It's very dirty and grimy, and then like there's like this weird like crux of technology going on in this. This one's really hard to describe because, like I say, it is like a Cronenberg or a Lynch kind of thing, where it's a mystery within itself, and it'll probably do me right to watch it again, to see, like to pick it apart a second time, kind of like I did with Possession. Um, it almost if anyone's ever played the horror video game Outlast, it kind of feels like a movie version of that, but it has like a future retro, like future and retro at the same time, like aesthetic, kind of like Brazil had, where there's like pipes and technology all around, but it's all foreign and weird. It's a really hard movie to describe, but it was a lot of fun. It was really interesting. It's one of those ones you really have to pay attention to. It's in French, so you get to read it. It's on Tubi, Eden Log. I would recommend it. I'll give it 3.5 to 4. It's definitely like a one of its kind of films, and I would have been interested to see what this person made after this, but they only made the one film. It was probably so weird that they probably couldn't get funded for anything else.
Holy guacamole, baby. Everything you done said just sounds like it's right up my alley. You know what I'm saying? I want to watch all that Eden Log. I'm going to go check that on Tubi myself if you got a chance. How about you, Kelly? Have you seen this Eden Log?
I don't think so. No, I don't think I have. What year is this? A newer one? What year
It's
is
like from like 2007.
okay.
Couple years
Nope.
old, a few years old, baby, but I definitely got to check that out. Sounds like some good stuff. But anyways, I got one more to shoot off if we get to our main topic. And you know what I've been watching? I know you commented about how good you like this movie, Mr. Ruthless Chris. It's a little film from 1987 called Blue Monkey.
Oh yeah, no monkey, no
It
monkey.
wasn't, yeah. The title does not make much sense at all.
It's a
Because
bug movie.
all I knew going into it is that I didn't really like the artwork on the cover. I didn't like the name of the movie, but heck, I've heard people talk about it for a long time, and it was streaming. I believe it's streaming on Amazon Prime. And I was like, let me just go for it. Let me see what all this hubbub is about. And it is a wacky sort of not totally wacky. It's kind of taken straight, kind of taken seriously to a
Campy.
point, and yeah, there are definitely comedic elements to it. But this woman, she gets a plant from, I think it's Africa or somewhere, and then it grows a weird pod, and it stings this guy, this older man that's like doing some carpentry or something, and he goes to the hospital. Well, it lays a pupa in his guts, and then the hospital takes the pupa out, and then that gets put into a jar, and then these dumb little kids feed it growth hormones because they're dumb, because children are dumb,
Dumbass kids.
dumbass kids feeding
You
feeding
dumbass
weird
kids. You.
alien pupas. Human
Alien pupa children.
they're feeding them growth hormones and shit on accident. Well, anyways, giant ants come crawling out of nowhere and eating people, and the whole thing turns out to be a big aliens ripoff because they're planting eggs and there's dripping slime that's burning holes and things. But the whole time there is wackiness abounding. There are character actors just running all over the place. I was actually taken off guard when Joe Flaherty from SCTV makes an appearance as an excited to-be father, taking pictures of his wife as she's trying to give birth. And then character actor John Vernon from Dirty Harry, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and National Lampoon's Animal House makes an appearance. I think he is the head of the hospital there. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I give it a 3-star rating, and I'd recommend it for anybody who likes giant bug movies, likes a horror comedy that's kind of wacky, kind of fun, kind of campy. Doesn't really know what it's got a bit of an identity crisis because it doesn't know if it wants to be serious or wants to be funny at times. But I thoroughly enjoyed it, and paying attention to it, I was surprised to find out where the title came from, because when the no good kids are down in the tunnels by themselves, they're like, what do you think we'll find down here? Maybe a blue monkey. That's the only time the word blue monkey is ever mentioned during the whole movie. Maybe a blue monkey. I was like, well, okay, well, there you go. Because I'm trying to figure out the whole movie. Where does the term blue monkey come from? That one sentence by this one little dumb kid. Look down
That's
here.
silly.
Maybe a
Yeah,
blue
it's not a
monkey.
monkey. It's a bug.
It's a
That's fucking
bug.
silly.
It's a giant.
Yeah.
It's like giant
Bugs.
ants that drip acid out of their mouths, just like aliens, and poop out babies. That's how you make babies, right? You poop them out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of course,
shit
everybody
about.
knows that.
Well, I think
mean,
now you've seen Blue Monkey, right, Ruthless Chris?
I have. It's a fun film. I thoroughly enjoy it. It's pure camp cheese. Definitely an aliens ripoff in a hospital. I'd recommend it on Tubi. Yeah, call Blue Monkey. There's no monkeys. It's bugs. I'd probably give it 3.5. 3.
How about you, Miss Killer Kelly? You
I
seen
have
this one
not
or
seen
no?
Blue Monkey, but it does sound entertaining. I've never even heard of Blue Monkey, to be quite
You'd
honest
like
with
it.
you. But yeah, what I
Yeah, you'd love
that's
it.
up my alley.
I
Did
don't
make
advocate. I don't advocate drug use of any kind, but if you are gonna if you're gonna smoke some weed and watch a movie, you might want to smoke some weed and watch this movie. It might make it a little bit more enjoyable. Blue Monkey babies out there, do it.
all right.
And now for our feature presentation.
Any which way but loose, we're keeping this terror train rolling, and we're about to focus. We're about to hit the town. We're gonna hit spoiler town, spoiler town, spoiler, spoiler, spoiler town, with the main topic, the main issue, what we're talking about tonight. It is a movie from 2022 called Feed Me. You think it's something that Audrey 2 from Little Shop of Horrors be saying, but it ain't nothing like that.
No.
Mr. RC, Mr. Ruthless Chris, you're the one who suggested we watch this one. Why don't you take it away? You tell these people what this movie's about. Give them the synopsis. Give them the plot points, baby.
Do it.
Yeah, so I had just kind of stumbled upon the trailer for this, and I was like, man, this looks really interesting and weird. And then I
weren't
saw
wrong.
it popped up on Tubi, and I had seen some people like post about how it was like an overlooked gem of last year, and people need to check it out.
Mhm.
It's a cannibal story. Um, a very weird like it's like if the guy who made Napoleon Dynamite made a cannibal story. Um, you got a man who is going through grief of losing his wife, decides he doesn't really want to live that much anymore, and you have a very eccentric cannibal who talks him into letting him eat him and signing a contract. So he goes to the cannibal's house. The cannibal starts numbing him up and chopping chunks off and cooking it up to eat it.
Mhm.
It kind of really goes off the rails fast from there. I was fascinated by Lyle, the cannibal character. It was like if Jason Sudeikis was playing Jermaine from Flight of the Conchords trying to do a Texas accent.
I can totally see that. Jason, that's his name. The entire movie, I was trying to think of that dude's name. I was like, he looks like that fucking Jason. I knew it was Jason something. Yep. Proceed.
Yeah, it was like a mash together of Jason Sudeikis and Jermaine Clement from
Yeah.
Flight of the Conchords, but with like a really bad Texas accent,
Fucking
which
nailed
made
it.
it really interesting to listen to this guy talk because he kept slipping in and out of it too. Like you could tell he was trying to do this like American Texas accent, but the guy was totally British.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like this one was quirky, man. Like I don't even know how to like describe it. Like from the sounds of things, it sounds like really dark, but it was more like fun and comedic in tone, you know?
I definitely would have to agree. I thought by being a cannibal movie and by being a cannibal movie that is based on a true story, that it was going to be a darker movie or it was going to be a completely silly movie. And I thought that had a bit of identity crisis itself because the angle with the young man dealing with the grief of losing his wife was very dramatic. That was a very dramatic angle itself. But then when you had Lionel Flack, played by Mr. Neil Ward, he was very funny. He was a very funny cannibal.
He
And it
was.
made this a very laughable movie. I laughed throughout every scene with Lionel Ward. Lionel Flack, sorry. He was a very funny character. But then they kept flashing back to the bulimic wife, and I thought it was kind of a weird dichotomy, having the grief of a wife who died from an eating disorder in a cannibal movie. But so it was dramatic in one point, then it'd be comedic in another point, and gross at another point. And I love the gore. The gore was great. The gore was over the top. And when it said that it was based on a true story, of course, I knew the story. It's the story is of Armand Moose, the West Germany cannibal who put out an ad for somebody that would let him eat him. And it wasn't like in this movie, but that's what it's based on. he put out an ad mostly on the gay hookup sort of websites, and he had the guy sign a contract. But he didn't take his time. He didn't eat fingers and
cut his
arms,
dick off.
legs. It was mostly he ate the guy's cock. He ate the guy's
Yeah.
Oh
penis.
shit.
Yeah, it's a very disturbing story that it's based on, and there's actually a 2006 movie called Cannibal, which is actually one of the most disturbing movies ever made. It's right up there with Angst or In a Glass Cage, that deals with it's based on the same subject matter. But Feed Me is a much more enjoyable movie. Feed Me is a movie that you could watch with friends, you could watch it at a party, and it's a good time. The 2006 Cannibal, that's based on the same story, not so much. You would not have a party while watching Cannibal, because it's much more based on the facts of the true story. And Feed Me takes a lot of liberties with that, and that's okay. You probably should. And I thought it was interesting that the directors of Feed Me, Richard Oakes and Adam Leader, the only other full-length horror movie they've done, or full-length movie in general they did, was a 2020 Christmas horror film called Hosts. So I really want to check that out, because I love Christmas-themed horror. But besides that, they did like music videos and shorts and stuff. So they didn't have much of a IMDb history, but it's funny that they tackled such a serious subject matter, a true crime subject matter, in a funny way. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. What did you think about this one, Kelly?
I thought I had a good time with it. I thought it was really fun. I thought the actor that played the cannibal, what was his name? Not Lloyd. Leonard.
Lyle.
The actor
Lyle.
or the
Lyle
cannibal?
Flack.
Lyle Fleck. I kept wanting to call him Leonard the whole time. But
But
that dude acted his ass off, man. He was great. He was great in that role.
Aside
he
from
was
not being able to
thoroughly
keep the
entertaining.
accent the whole time,
Yeah, yeah. At one
he would
point,
drop it here and there, and
Mhm.
that made it kind of funny.
It was pretty funny. Like when he was talking to the cops, I noticed that he did it at one point. Yeah, I really liked him. That character was likable, like the one that Don I was talking about in All Eyes. So yeah, I had two likable characters this week. But I liked the gore in this. I do liked how it was a mix between like the drama and just like really like dark bleakness, like you said, with the guy losing his wife to an eating disorder, and then at the same time, this dude's just kind of fucking hilarious, I liked it. I liked everything about it. Yeah.
Yeah, he was really fucking quirky. And at the same time, like parts of it felt almost like a buddy comedy.
Yeah.
But then, like the guy's in the fucking bathtub
That's what I
missing
was
an arm, and he's like, they go into a whole montage of making him a dating profile, and they do the whole like, well, what about this outfit? Oh, that's no good.
Yeah.
Like-
And he's sitting there missing an arm, and then missing a finger off the other hand. I like when they take like the selfie together, like dude's like bleeding in the bathtub. He's like, "Come here, get a picture with me. Why don't you?"
Which comes into play later.
Yeah,
And the thing is that like it does swing between like really like gripping horror, like where the ghost of the ex-wife would pop up.
Mm-hmm.
Like his mother, the wall art of his mother. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And the fact that all he eats aside from people is kettle corn. What the fuck?
And the cops, like he's feeding the cops. Didn't he tell them it's veal? And they're like, "This is a Michelin star veal." It's it's the guy that's in his bathtub.
Yeah, it's just that guy. Yeah, this whole thing, it really hinged on its performances, because if they didn't find like the right people, this movie just wouldn't have worked, because it is a mean movie. And it's like really goofy in tone. He's chopping off limbs and eating them and like cauterizing them with a fucking iron. The freak out scene where he's got the legs and he's just smacking his kitchen around with the legs, and then the cops come, so he has to set a fucking easel up and pretend like he was painting.
Yeah,
like
he smears the leg on the canvas. But
then it would swing into like some like totally horrific shit that's played really straightforward and like for horror. It was definitely an interesting ride. it seems like the online community is really divided on it. Either people really love it or they just think it's utter dog shit, which I can probably see why. This is definitely not for anybody. Like,
No.
like this is the Royal Tenenbaums of cannibal movies. You know?
Yeah, it was an easy watch. It wasn't anything that you got bored by at all. Like it was fun. It was highly entertaining, like front to back, you know.
I'm gonna get that painting and just hang it up in your house next time I'm over. Of
The
his mom
painting.
with the crown.
Oh, okay. I was like the mom or the painting that he did with the leg.
The bomb.
Yeah, with the weird
Definitely the
nipple
bomb.
hanging out.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, the one thing is that, you know, I was so impressed with the guy that played Lyle. I was like, I got to see what else this guy's been in. Maybe he's been in some other roles. He's only been in like 6 other movies, and they all have real bad reviews. So I'm like, I'm hoping this guy gets some more media roles like this because he fucking knocked it out of the park with this thing.
He did.
You know, sometimes those movies though with bad reviews, I would give good reviews to. You know what I mean? Because I personally love a lot of movies that other people do not love. So you know, it's worth checking out. It's worth digging into, baby.
Yeah, this was a fun one. I would definitely recommend this one. And this is one of those ones that's like, it's probably going to age well, you know, because it doesn't feel like of any certain time. Like you could have told me they made this movie 10 years ago and I would have believed you. Like
right.
it's just has like just this weird, its own ethereal tone. And it's super, it doesn't take itself seriously, but it is really serious at times and really gory. I don't know. This was a good one. This would make a good party film. Like if you have a bunch of people over and like they're of a deranged mindset, like the three of us. This is definitely the kind of film you can like pop on and everyone can have a good laugh at, but not like have to fully invest themselves in, you know?
Absolutely, 100%. I agree with that statement right there. Now, if I was going to give it a rating, I would give it a rating of 4 stars, baby. You know, great gore, great laughs, great entertainment from beginning to end. I'm grateful that you suggested it because I was a big fan of the trailer. So watching that movie was a lot of fun. You know, and usually cannibal movies are very serious. And to see one that was a little bit goofier, you know, it kind of had an Eating Raoul feel to it. You know,
Yeah.
a goofy, funny cannibal movie.
Or
You know,
Delicatessen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Delicatessen.
okay. Yeah.
Definitely
yeah.
up there with
I can
that.
see that.
So yeah, I give it 4 stars. What do you guys? What would you give? What kind of star rating would you give this, Killer Kelly?
I give it 3.5, 4. Yeah.
All right, baby, that sounds legit. How about you, Mr. Ruthless Chris, Mr. RC in charge?
You know, I would probably give this 3.5 to 4. You know, coming off the heels of Bones and All, which was a very serious cannibal movie, you know, most recent cannibal movie I watched than this. It would be interesting to watch both of those back to back. That'd make for an interesting movie night. You got like a very serious one to a very goofy one. Yeah, I definitely would recommend it. Yeah, check out Feed Me.
Holy guacamole. Ooh la la, say la vie. You know I love what you're saying. You're gonna lay it down for me. Yeah, based on a true story, real cannibals, real wackiness. Definitely check it out. Party movie all the way. But what's up next week on our agenda? What are we watching next week? What do we got planned for the people next week, Mr. Ruthless Chris?
What do we have planned? I
It's
don't
Valentine's Day.
Oh, Valentine's. Yeah. So instead of doing, you know, My Bloody Valentine or Valentine, we decided we were going to do The Love Witch, which is a throwback horror. It looks like a 60s movie, but it was made like 4 years ago or so.
Yeah.
We'll be back next week with The Love Witch. Also, any of our friends out in the New Jersey area, we are going to be out there in April for the Mania weekend with Street Trash.
You know, I love that, baby. You got to plug that Ruthless Pro Wrestling. And I love that you named it after one of my favorite splatter movies, Street Trash. It's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, can't wait to be talking about Love Witch. Came to the lovey-dovey Love Witch herself. It's going to be a good time. Let's get ready for that Valentine. And in the meantime, you guys want to say goodnight to these people or what?
Peace the fuck out.
Good night. Bye.
All right, and in the meantime, I'm gonna say keep it spooky, keep it creepy, keep it real vile forever. Ow! God bless America and send nudes. Hey, all you cats and kittens, all you ladies and lady killers out there in real vile land. This is your old pal, Mr. Germ T. Ripper, saying keep it spooky, keep it creepy, keep it real vile forever. And don't forget, like, subscribe, and share all our content. Ow!